and then we can move on. Like it, he like all these Net fans basically feel like I either have to be super pro him to the point that like the idea of trading him is blasphemous. I'm gonna copy and paste tweets that you guys said months ago about trading him and whatnot. This means you hate him, and it's like no, like this stuff is complicated because he's a complicated guy, and that can be at the end of the day why people like him. Like that is a likable quality about him. He's not like he's not like a paste eating like dude that just like is saying nonsense just for the sake of saying nonsense. Like I think he does think hard. I in fact think he thinks too hard about things. As you kind of that's what I like the internet take about him. Like
it's the internetifying of things. The internetifying of things, and what the internetifying of things is relationships that we have with things, fill in the blank, are different now. Now you don't just like a player. That whole thing of being a Kyrie stan, right? If you're not a Kyrie stan, then you must be a Kyrie hater. And the internetifying of things makes it where you join these tribes. And the tribes are all or nothing. But that's not the way real life works. In real life, there's compromise. In real life, there's nuance. In real life, there's complications, right? You never know what curveball life is going to throw you. And the young people nowadays get to just pick from a smorgasbord of ideas on the internet. And these ideas basically go against credentialism. And no longer do we this younger generation, I'm pointing the finger at you as well, because I think your generation has a lot of this going on as well. Yeah. But excuse me for my get off my lawn speech. However, I'm not looking at from the perspective of an old fogey. I'm looking at it from the perspective of a person who helped architect all of these tools and conversations. Like I watched these what you call social media start from message board groups and building that software and understanding how you design it and what triggers and reactions that people have to those software applications. I come at this from a perspective of understanding and seeing how the nomenclature has changed and how the idea of like, yeah, you used to like the Beatles or you were a big fan of Nas. He's your favorite rapper. But your favorite rapper didn't decide your political views. Your favorite rapper didn't decide your morals, your instincts, or your ethics. And it also shouldn't be a place where your family or people you're typically cool with, you now have to end it. Like I thought watching my daughters talk about the Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B beef and how they couldn't be friends with certain people because they were on opposing sides, and I can't even expose what they are because it's too much of a thing. That's the internet-ifying of things where concepts aren't based off of factual information, study, research, or proof that you should be talking about this as an expert. None of that matters. What matters is this is the group I fall in line with. We watch these YouTube videos. This is our politics. This is who we are. We are the Kyrie stans. Like, I blame you guys, Sam. Tell me why it's not y'all.
No, I actually think that comparing it to like where we intake information is like legitimately spot on. I think that basically in our generation, like you can basically find any writer or website that you believe in.
No. That's wrong. Wrong. This is important. There is so much internet now. You could find anybody to agree with your stupid idea.
Right. And by the way, but it goes beyond that. You can find someone that not only agrees with one of your stupid ideas, but probably is aligned with you on everything, because there's so many different permutations of different writers who
Right.
have like so many different ideas. And I think that, but I also think what you do have going on with the Kyrie thing is there is just a little bit of this God worshiping, which is where like some of the politician, analogies come into play, because me and you know plenty of people that are fully vaccinated and boosted and feel very strongly about it, but have completely put that aside and feel guilty or feel weird criticizing him. And me and you like just don't really understand it. Like, I don't think that I'm any less of a Kyrie fan because I'm criticizing his vaccines like stance. I don't think that blind faith and blind support for someone shows that you're more supportive of that. Like shows that you're a better fan of them. I think it just means that you're kind of ignorant and that and you lack sophistication.
Right, but I also think we have to come to grips with the fact that we may be on the outside looking in here. This may just be the world going forward, and the world is not that simple. I can't. I'm a liberal person. I'm not a centrist. I'm not both sides have good ideas. I'm more to the left of things typically. Yep. However, the people that annoy me the most right now in politics are liberals. I think that a lot of the things that they stand for are stopping politics. Politics has to be simple. It has to be understood. And the more fractionalized it is, the harder it is to get a group of people to vote for anything, especially now in this era of internet-defying of people's mentality, where people are just in these groups and you can't even appeal to their logic. You have to appeal to something completely different. You have to appeal to their tribalism almost. And it's an amazing thing, but you know what we're going to know in 10 years, Sam? In 10 years, we're going to look back at this time and say, this was the beginning of that. For everyone his age and younger had this new relationship in the workplace, that there's this new exchange on how we do business and what the relationship between employee and employer, because I think a lot of things society-wise are being turned on their head. There's a lot of sensitivities and a lot of, my truthism that is going to change the rules of business. Yep. And there's no going back on it. Like it is what it is.
I totally agree. I just find this was my last thing. I just find the lack of nuance and people willing to have a discussion and being willing to argue and see that people come from all different sides and not everyone fits in like some bucket of people that Nate Silver or whatever, like some polling site thinks that we are is a huge issue. Like it's just, I hate that when I meet most people, I think because so many people identify by a certain whether it's like a certain group or political affiliation, whatever, you can basically guess how they feel about every single issue based off of just like one thing that you know about them, because many people lack nuance and challenging. Like, look, I wish that Kyrie was more I wish that he was more like quote unquote left on the vaccine the way he is about other issues, but I also do like that he is someone who at least thinks on his own, and he isn't just that guy.
And guess what? Regardless of to where we stand on it, I also got last night that he was sincere, that he means this shit. Like all the permutations of the ideas that Kyrie believes in, it's fine. This may be mainstream in 20 years. This may just be mainstream schools of thought. However, no matter how you dissect it, today, this is weird shit. And the weird shit, the people who are into the weird shit, like they're not going anywhere, and I think it's a silly conversation to be having right now. It's just how do you deal with the weird shit enough to make a dependable to make an actual attempt at winning this championship. You like if you're flighty, if you're back and forth, if you're not into it, we're not winning a championship. So it's how do we navigate that now? And I'll use that as a segue to say this, Sam. We're at home the next game, right?
Yup, Milwaukee.
Like, isn't it just like the ultimate pouring water over your head to think to go from the adulation of what happened last night, a game that we probably don't win if Kyrie doesn't play, a game that we had to come back on a team that was depleted and missing a lot of players, even though they're two studs up front played. But we win that game. We're all very happy. I didn't get to kind of like check around the internet. I went straight to bed after I saw the that we won. But like, what was the temperature on that? Are we all happy and are we okay that we're not gonna have this the next game and we might get punished by the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, so that's. I think that's a great question. I think that's what's so interesting about the fan base is that I think everyone is so blind with Kyrie love. And look, like as you said,
are those Nets fans or are those Kyrie fans?
No. This was even like there was not. Look, I was in like a couple of different spaces last night.
Uh-huh.
There was not one person, and I didn't want to do it because as I text you guys, I'm the guy who a lot of times comes out and people think I'm like this like massive Kyrie hater, even though I legitimately actually really love the guy and love that he's a Net. But there was not one person yesterday on Twitter that was like, well, that was fun, but now we play probably the best team in basketball.
The team that's in our way.
And the team that's in our way, and the dude can't play. And like, I just think that and basically all it's done for me is I just can't really get that into the regular season games anymore, because if the team doesn't care that much about the regular season, then why should I? That's like basically
right.
how I feel.
We're ultimately going to judge them by what they do on the playoffs, and if they don't make it, they can't use the excuse of, oh, we didn't have the right seed. This is on you guys. You guys don't have the right seed because you guys aren't into playing in the regular season.
Do you know what I think though is irritating? And I know that me and you have talked about this, and it's a very abstract idea, but I think it's one that actually holds a lot of water, which is, like Kyrie not playing this in the first, whatever we had, the 30-something games of the season, so for 38 games, 37 games, whatever, like that definitely had a wear and tear on KD and Harden in terms of how much they had to exert. And whatever you want to say about, I know people have said like the team loves him, and look, it did seem like from yesterday that the team does love him, but
that's never been a question for me.
And that's never been a question. There's no doubt though that this entire ordeal has definitely taken a mental toll on the team also. And so my kind of take is Kyrie's basically in a win-win position right now with the fan base, not with people like me and you, but with the fan base as a whole, because it basically seems like if he doesn't get to play in home games, no one really cares that much, because they're like, oh, de Blasio and Adams screwed this up. All these other cities allow him to play, yada yada yada. And then if he comes back, or whether he can play in home games or not, but by the playoffs, Harden and KD look a step slower, everyone's going to blame KD and Harden when, like, I think a lot of this has been really hard on them because this is a team, as you've said multiple times, and I think it's the most salient point about this team was constructed as a 3-star team.
Right.
And every player on the team that's there is there